Today will be all about the easily avoidable mistakes that destroy your seedlings and wreck all the effort that you've put into seed starting. I'll show you the warning signs to look for, and I'll show you how to get your seedlings back on track with the least effort. And stay with me to the end of the video when I'll share 2 tricks for seed starting that most new gardeners don't know but really should. Hi, I'm Valerie and welcome back to Now Gardening, where I teach you to troubleshoot your gardening problems without wasting your time. You might be wondering what makes me the expert on seedlings. I'd love to say that it's from the years working in my family garden growing up, but while that's true, we never started seeds indoors. So I became an expert on seedling mistakes by, you guessed it, by making them all. But you don't have to go down that path, so let me take you to my repotting table and I'll show you the warning signs to look for and how to get those seedlings back on track. Let's talk about the warning signs to look for, starting with the easiest. Here's a tomato seedling, and at first glance it looks okay. It needs to be potted up, but it looks all right. But if you look closely, it's droopy. Do you see how the branches are just kind of hanging down a little bit and the leaves are starting to wilt? This is usually from too little water or too much. If you're using a good soil and growing medium, seedlings generally only need to be watered once a week if they're kept indoors. But the real test is to touch the top of the soil. If it's crispy, then you might be giving your seedling too little water. On the other hand, if it's soggy or has gnats on it, then you're definitely giving it too much. Try watering seeds from the bottom to encourage the roots to grow down and also to avoid insects. When watering from below, leave the seedlings to sit in the water. It depends on the seedlings and the growing medium, but usually about 15 minutes to half an hour max. And what you're going to notice is that the soil starts to get damp, not soggy, on the top. And at that point, you know that they have enough water to last them generally for the next week without being overwatered. Now moving on, let's talk about stunted growth. This is when your seedlings just suddenly stop growing. And before I go on, would you please hit the like button down below? Thank you. Would you believe that these broccoli seedlings, there are 2 here I believe, these broccoli seedlings have been growing in this little container for 4 months. And while the seedling itself looks relatively healthy, let me show you the comparison with its siblings that were potted up correctly and then moved outdoors. So if your plants stop growing suddenly and start to look stunted in their growth, then consider the pot that you're in, how long they've been there, and consider moving them up and upgrading them to a bigger pot. Now for the next one, discolored leaves. Do you see here how the leaves are not green and how they're really discolored? This is kind of an extreme example because this seedling is looking really rough. Let me take another example. This one, the leaves are just kind of a pale green. Just by comparison, they should be looking, I'm not even talking about the size because these were planted at different times, but they should be looking like this color. They're the exact same type of plant. So if you find yourself with seedlings that have discolored leaves, then it's a sign of a nutrient deficiency. And usually if they're pale and yellow like this, it's specifically a nitrogen deficiency. Plants need nitrogen for their green growth. So if you see this, then give them a small dose of a nitrogen-rich fertilizer. This one, when it started getting discolored, I gave it a nitrogen-rich fertilizer, and within 3 days, the leaves started going back to a nice green color. Not only is it much greener, by comparison, as you can see, the growth is significantly more. So we're going to talk about legginess. If a seedling is pale and weak or potentially even falling over, then it's typically leggy. And to prevent this, you need to get your seedlings under a grow light as soon as they germinate. Seedlings need a lot of light, and tomato seedlings can need 12 to 18 hours of sunlight or grow light per day. If it's already leggy, and depending on how bad it is, the treatment varies. And I've actually made a couple of videos on fixing leggy seedlings that go in depth on how to fix them that I'll post in the description down below. Now for the seed starting tricks that I promised at the beginning of this video. Let's talk about seeds that do not germinate or sprout. It's disappointing when you've waited for days and nothing has happened. If this happens to you and you find yourself staring at a pot of dirt, then here are the questions to ask yourself. Were the seeds old? Seeds, especially those in the US, do not have the same shelf life that they used to have in the good old days. I have had seeds that are complete duds after only 1 year. But here's how I get around this. During the winter, I will sow 3 of the old seeds to see if they germinate. If they do, I'm good to go. If not, I still have time to order new seeds before the growing season. The second question to ask yourself is how many days have passed? Seeds germinate at different rates, and while lettuce may only take 2 to 3 days and tomatoes take typically 5, some seeds such as onions may take up to almost 2 weeks. So know your seed's biological clock before considering that empty pot a lost cause. Often this isn't on the seed packages, but you can easily find it online. And because I know seed starting indoors is one of the biggest struggles for new gardeners, I made this video just for you.